It's the final one. It's Twickenham. It's the Springboks. It's against England. This man, Percy Montgomery, knows how to win against England at Twickenham. Monty, win or lose? That's all I want to know.
It's war against England. A win, definitely.
Is it the Blue War? Is it the 2022 war? Zels, they were 25-6 down against the All Blacks. They looked dead and buried with 9 minutes to go. Yellow card, controversial try, and Eddie's boys were back.
They found a way to get back into that game. I don't know how they did it. I don't know what happened to the All Blacks. You've got to ask questions about how that game ended. I think they should have gone for the win, but hey, they'll take the draw. They seem to be happy with it, and this week they'll be looking for the win.
Okay, we had a great win against Italy, 63-21. Context, it is Italy. 25 all. What did England take from that game? Having been 25-6 down, Monty, and then to get 25 all, do you feel they're in a good position?
I think they're in a very good position. They're going to feel very confident, especially coming back from All Blacks. But when you're playing at that intensity, you're going to make mistakes, and turnovers are going to be created. And we as South Africans can play both types of games. I know that. So I think we should just stick to our normal game plan and just a repeat of a World Cup final.
World Cup final, that was 15-6 when you were there, 2007, 32-12, but I much preferred your 36-0 in 2007. I was there in Paris. That was a wonderful day. Angleterre 36 and 36-0 that they lost. It's not going to be that emphatic. Big one for Rasmus. He's not going to be at the ground. He's going to be in some hotel or at a pub. And Jacques Nienhofer. They have to get this win. They lost to Ireland. They lost to France. Italy was a given. But this is the one they have to take.
Yes, they do have to win this one. I think there's a lot more riding on this game than just the result. We've seen Boks coaches go for a lot less. There's a lot of drama around Rassie. If these guys don't win this match this weekend, I don't think it's unreasonable to think that it may be Rassie's last match in charge.
A lot of pressure on them. I mean, they win. They've got 6 months before the Boks get together again. It would take a brave CEO to get rid of Rassie now, to get rid of Jacques now. Basically, 4 matches out from the World Cup.
Yep.
But Rassie's done himself no favours. He's done the Boks team no favours. I said that to him in a WhatsApp. We will agree to disagree on that. John Smith has said the same thing. Monty said it last week. Stop tweeting. Apply your rugby brain to the way we play. How do we beat England?
I think, like the players showed, they showed a running game against Italy, changed their game plan a bit, and scored some tries. So I believe stick to our normal game plan against England. It's going to be one up front. The forwards are going to be super aggressive and get that go forward ball. And I think, England going to match us up front. But with a strong bomb squad like we've got coming on, I think Eddie's aware of that. But with the high intensity, if they're going to try and play that game, there are going to be mistakes. It's going to be a high-scoring game.
Zels, the bomb squad, is that going to be the deciding factor in this game?
If the Boks win this game, it'll be the bomb squad. Definitely, I think that's the way this team is geared up. How we kick, how effective we are in contesting those kicks, our maul defense, and obviously defense. Massive turning points in this game. Really hoping that Evan Roos somehow seizes the chance to come out of the freezer and start and blow everyone away. But
big game for Evan Roos. He was in sensational form last year. Started the URC well. Went off the radar a bit. Has had no game time. Played a few minutes against Italy in the last 20. Big ask for him to start at number 8. But against an England pack at Twickenham, he does it there. It's a bit like an All Black doing it at Ellis Park. If he can do it there, he can do it anywhere.
No, definitely, Mark. And there's a few guys that have never beaten England at Twickenham. Damien, Evan Roos, I'm looking forward to watching him play. And it's going to be really exciting for these players, to beat England at Twickenham is a big ask, but it can be done. And it's always a big game against South Africa and England.
And a lot of South African support in the stands there. We know half of South Africa lives there now. Monty, you're one of those fortunate guys. You've won a lot at Twickenham. That euphoria of winning, compare that to a downer, even if you lose by 1 point.
No, it's tough. I'd rather lose by 20 than by 1 point, especially against England. But there is a belief in that Springbok team from the World Cup, and Rassie and Jacques have built that belief within that team structure. And let's just hope the boys can bring that win home for South African fans and for themselves.
Well, I think that's the key, Mark. He's spoken about Rassie and Jacques, and obviously massive. Rassie not being at the stadium is a huge deciding factor. We've seen how the Boks struggle when Rassie isn't around. and having him out of the mix, I think, is going to hurt them big time.
I think he'll be on the roof, definitely. But we used to not having, well, the last few games not having Rusty there, so the players have got used to that, and I know what they know what they have to do.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you sent me that great meme last week, Peter Steff looking at Rusty and saying, Varka Gary going in So hopefully from a place of comfort. The last 2 times we've been there, so Eddie against Rusty and Jock, it's played 6-1-3. That magnificent performance in Johannesburg 2018, 24-3 down the box. They came back and they won it. They won comfortably in Bloemfontein, played like a C team, /B team, got pumped in the rain in Cape Town, then went to Twickenham 12-11. The controversial Andre Esterhazy tackle with Owen Farrell. Then pumped them 32-12 at the World Cup, went back last year 27-26. Lost Monty, we were watching the game together. You said, take your points, take your points, take your points. We never did, and we conceded that penalty in the last minute. How important, if we keep on speaking about this, is the goal kicking going to be?
Now, I think it's going to be a high scoring game. I think it's going to be a high intensity game and a lot of turnovers. So I think, take your penalties, but I think that there's a lot to be played for, especially the new combinations, players playing for World Cup places. I think high scoring game. Don't worry too much about penalties, but it is very important. I think they're going to go more for touch and drive, score. But it is important to take your penalties, but it's not going to be that kind of game.
Okay, so we'll get Faf probably will be kicking from the but because Chesney's not there. He was always going to be unavailable because he had to go back to France, but he is injured. Damien Willemse potentially, and then coming off the bench, Mani Lebok. Magnificent cameo against Italy. I'm a little bit concerned that he's been turned into Henry Honeywell on the basis of beating Italy. And I think that's unfair on him. Yeah. It's going to be very different when he comes on against England.
No, definitely, and they've protected him a little bit, and I like the way they've done that, to protect that little youngster coming through. But to make him start against England is a bit unfair, which is put him on the bench and let him come through slowly.
And a guy we keep on talking about, and there was a little bit of doubt in this country because he's young. He burst onto the scene at Harlequins when he was 18. Nick Evans, who was his mentor, said this kid is going to become special. We saw that in the last 15 when he started to play. Marcus Smith is dangerous.
Absolutely. I mean, he's a phenomenal player, gaining experience, standing up in a team where there's potentially a lot of conflict. The media's all over that team all the time. He's resilient mentally and physically. So we saw what he did to us last year.
And also, it's again, I saw the All Blacks trying to play him off the ball. He's a tough little bugger. He gets up and he gets on with it. I think, Monty, you've been in that place before when you played against the Lions in you made your debut, and there was a lot of off the ball where they try to ruffle you because you were a youngster. Does that just inspire you to get up and play a bit harder?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, especially as a youngster, you get the. I mean, I got a few slaps from the side of the rack there. That's why I try to stay out of the rack. But it definitely has an impact as a player. But it's a great opportunity for the youngster to come on and deliver the goods.
If we look at Billy LaRue, outstanding again. Just the way he controlled that back three. But a back three of Kirkley, Arendse, Cheslin, and Billy, very different in terms of just the functional thinking when you have an out-and-out speedster and finisher like Mapimpi, and then you've got 2 fullbacks playing on the wing. How does that change Billy's game?
Now listen, I think it's all going to start up front. It's as good as if the forwards are on their game, the back three are going to do well. Because if you're running back the whole time, and the forwards the whole team are not getting back to help or support you to counter-attack or do what you have to do, it's going to be a long day for South Africa. So it's going to have to start up front to get and when England kick back, get that players back to be able to attack or make a positive decision.
I think it's going to be a massively, massively physical game. So I hear what Percy's saying. I'm going the complete opposite way. I think we're going to see lots of contestables, very physical confrontation at the breakdown. But Pimps is a guy who doesn't stand back for the physical stuff, and I think there's some value in having a guy like that around.
Eddie, confrontational against the All Blacks, and I thought it's the best 40 I've seen the All Blacks play in a long time, that first 40. And they got blown away. I mean, it could have been 36 at half time. Last 9 minutes, 15 on 14, they started playing, they started running the ball, the gaps opened up. Is the public expecting Eddie to start the test like that? And could his team and him be caught in two minds as to think we actually have to play South Africa this way, or we've got to subdue them the traditional way, make sure that our pack actually get some form of parity, and then play. What would your approach be, or what do you think Eddie's approach is going to be?
Yeah, I think there's always pressure on England to play a more expansive game under Eddie. He's always under pressure to, stop with the boring tactics and the usual narrative. And I think when you've got a playmaker like Marcus at 10, there is always that risk that that kid's going to take the bait and maybe throw a few offloads and dance a little bit when he shouldn't. So that is potentially a good thing for us. I hope England do go that way, because that will definitely favour us.
Yeah.
It'll be a test about whether Marcus can sit in the pocket and hit grass and keep the game tight.
All right, Monty, if you're looking for 3 South African players who have to stand up and basically own that game, that influences a win, who are the 3 you would be looking for?
Well, first of all, it would definitely be the bomb squad coming on at the end.
Okay, we'll put that whole bomb squad as one then.
As one, okay, that's one.
And of the starting 15, who do you feel has to start owning that game from the beginning?
I think I want a big game from Damien. I think he needs a big game to cement himself in that fly position. And even Russ needs a big game to put his hand up for the World Cup squad. And then you've got your bomb squad coming on to close the game.
Don't forget about Marvin Uri starting at 5 with his Tigerberg twin mate,
there we go.
Evan Etzebeth.
Exactly.
The line-out's going to be huge.
There's a lot to play for in this game. It's not just World Cup places. It's for the team. It's for they're playing for a lot.
You've been there 102 times. You've played for the Springboks in Test rugby. You've played all over the world. You have one of the most decorated careers. You always told me it's the All Blacks that gets the blood pumping and another team.
Yeah, it's England. No, it's warm. It's just warm. You're playing at Twickenham. It's a memory not many people get to even go watch at Twickenham.
Yeah.
Play. I think watched my first game was All Blacks versus England. I watched my first game. I can still remember that very clearly. But Twickenham is a special ground, home of rugby. So it's something to play for. Not just the fans. It's for everyone.
Now explain the psyche. Okay, is the All Blacks are the traditional foe. We know that, but you're now playing, say, in Italy, with no disrespect to Italy, or you're playing in Australia, and and I know when I was with the Boks as part of the management, it was Australia, and we just got on with it. But what is different mentally when you prepare in that week for England at Twickenham?
Sweet love. Let's put you off a little bit, eh? Yeah, so whoever's kicking, get in your zone.
And how you kicked in every ground in the world, and you've kicked at 75% plus success. I know the start in Paris, if you could have rolled that one up and taken it all around the world with you, you would. I don't think you missed a kick there.
No.
But Twickenham, what makes it intimidating or different to kick there to any other ground in terms of the away grounds?
I think it's just the crowds, eh? The crowd. You can hear the crowd. It's intense. It's intense moments, and like I said, South Africa are really going to have to be on their A game and minimise mistakes and just play forward, hard grinding, and like I say, work the penalties, and not an expensive game. We must start up front and dominate.
If I go back, Zels, to Martin Johnson when he was captaining the great Johnny Wilkinson, whose kicking success rate, bar that 2007 World Cup, which was 62%, was always in the 80s. At Twickenham, was in the 90s. He said that he would never give Wilkinson a kick Wilkinson felt was potentially out of his range, which was 48 meters, because he needed 2, and he was 2 from 2, and he was on his way.
Yeah.
Is that the kind of philosophy we also have to use to say, unless it's a gimme for Damien or Faf, don't kick it? Because the guy takes one from 40, 10 meters out, and he misses it. People say he's 0 from 1, 0 from 2. How significant does that play on your mind, regardless of the difficulty of the kick, if you start missing a few?
No, it definitely is, and it's all the psyche as well. You don't want to play your first choice kicker and missing one kick, and then you go to your second choice kicker. That's going to be, you get self-belief, and there's going to be a bit of bring a bit of doubt in the team. Especially the players, you don't want that. I mean, we looked at 207 when we smashed them in the first game, but then they got rid of their coach basically and changed their game plan. Went to the old English rugby where the forwards took control and they grinded and worked their penalties pretty much the same way we played. So I think it's going to be pretty much tight. If it opens up a high intensity game, you're going to find a lot of turnovers, and it's going to be a high scoring game.
If you look 27-26 last year, And it was a young England team that's now become a lot older in 12 months. They've been on tour, they played at Six Nations. But I was surprised, and the three of us watched the game together here at the Century City Convention Centre on their big, massive screen. It was like being at Twickenham. And how easily England in the first half cut us to pieces and scored 3 tries. Somehow then we got parity up front again and we controlled the game, got ahead, and then lost it through a penalty in the 79th minute where we were trying to keep the ball, and it's always danger zone.
Yeah.
What was significant, Zels, about the way they cut us to shreds when we went to Twickenham as one of the best defensive units in the world?
Yeah, look, it was surprising. I mean, we all brought that up during the game. I don't really remember the technical aspects of that game so well, but anytime the Boks are getting cut, that's a problem, obviously. And this week in particular, we're missing Lukhanyo Arm, we've got Jesse Creelin at 13, and closing the door there is going to be massive for us. And we've spoken about the changes in the back three, so potentially in a kicking duel, you've got those guys under duress, and it's important they find those familiarity and combinations quickly.
All right, I'm going to go to first try scorer. Who do you think that's going to be?
Am I telling you right now?
You've got to tell me right now, mate.
I'm going to tell you that the first try scorer is going to be David Delendi. The Boks are going to take
That's a good choice. That's a good choice.
First try scorer?
Pimpy.
I say the first try scorer is going to be whoever's at the back.
Whoever puts the ball down over the line
Whoever's
first.
at the back of that first maul. And I think it's going to be our guy, and it's going to be Bongi, who's going to go
that's not a bad
try. And we've got a great competition. Percy's lager. You picked the first try scorer, you go into a draw. There were 63 of you who picked Kurtley Orange last week. One of you is going to get 24 beers from Monty. There's another 24 on offer. And then the other great competition is if you pick the correct score, you get one night stay here at the Century City, wonderful hotels, and you also get a year's subscription to SA Rugby magazine. You get to read this guy's wonderful prose. Okay?
Wow.
And that's in the print side. That's not just on the digital. There you can come in for free. And we will remind you, SA Rugby magazine, 4 million pages a month. It is the biggest rugby site in the world, not just in South Africa. So well done to Zels and your team. Every time we do a Monty story and an Alton Yankee story,
numbers fly.
It goes big. And a Rassie story. Last thing on this, Rassie Rasmus. Do they wear the band? This is for Rassie.
I mean, do they need to wear the band? And
Maybe it was justice for Buckies?
for Buckies,
Stick to the system, guys.
Yeah.
Stick to the system.
No, I think they will definitely be playing for Rassie in some way, shape, or form.
And we got to now call it, guys. I need a score. Boga!
28-22 to the Boks.
All right.
I'm going to say that these guys have played each other 23 times in England. I think they've drawn one and split the other 22. I think it's going to be very tight. I'm going to say England win this by 3 points.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm going to say 25-22.
This Oak does it every time. He's the editor of SA Rugby magazine. He backs against the Boks. And
They won last week.
And I think you back Italy.
Nope.
So you got a 25.
22.
And you were talking us up like this was an.
I'm just setting you up for the show, guys.
It all depends how they play.
All right,
It all depends how they play.
Just remember that score at halftime, okay? I've got the Boks to win, and I've got the Boks to win 26-25.
No doubt.
Hey, because you only need
Jokes.
1 point to feel good after Twickenham.